Michael Winzloff, machinist mate, second class. Mess decks, nice big, large mess deck. The funny part about the mess deck was we had a fish tank on it. And so the aquarium was back there on the mess deck, and a lot of people got a little seasick during rough weather because they'd sit there and watch that fish tank and watch that water level go back and forth like that. But it never got bad enough to spill too much water out of it. But we had stabilizers on this ship. And I don't know whether you know what stabilizers are, but they're fins that go out and kind of keep the ship stable. That was one of the watches that I had to stand over through time, was stabilizer watch. And then I also had to spend a lot of time in the engine room. Had stand evaporator watch. Evaporator watch is what makes the fresh water for the ship when you're out at sea. And also had to go down and check shaft alley, the big shaft that goes back and turns the propeller, and all the bearings along the shaft. There's bearings that have to maintain lubrication, and when you get all the way down to the fantail where the shaft goes through the hull, there's a seal, and it has to maintain a certain water flow through it in order to keep the seals cool. So that was part of my duties as a machinist mate in the A division. Was evaporator watch, shaft alley, stabilizer, and then down in the compressor rooms. Depending on which part of the ship you were in, it all had a distinct smell, you know. If you were in the engine room, there was a lot of the big, I can't remember what number fuel oil that they burned in the, but the boilers were all oil fired. So when you're down in the engine room, you smell the fuel. You know, it just happens like that. And then a lot of steam, and you had to be very careful around. We only had a 600-pound steam system, where some of the other ships had 1,200-pound steam. But anytime you get around steam like that, if you get a pinhole leak and you don't need it, you don't notice it, it could hurt you bad. It could get a good slice on you. Making sure that the seawater strainers were clean, for the cooling lines for the condensers, and everything necessary to keep the shipboard air conditioning running. That was myself standing the evaporator watch. That's the desalination, is the evaporator. Well, it's just a combination of steam. It takes the salt water and it flashes off and separates the salt from the water, and the fresh water goes one way, and then the other water, the byproducts go the other direction, and then it's pumped into the shipboard freshwater tanks.